Hey, we made it. We finally got to the end of Revelation. We finished our series, and I want you to notice how the book ends. After all of those visions, the drama that builds all the strange but sometimes overwhelming images, Revelation closes with hope, with a renewal, with Jesus saying, look, I'm going to make everything new. And that's the heartbeat of this book. Not that everything is falling apart beyond repair, but that Jesus is bringing everything together again. I love it because evil doesn't get the last word. Pain doesn't get the last word. Death doesn't even get the last word. Jesus gets the last word, and his word is new. And that's important because for a lot of people, Revelation gets reduced to fear. We imagine this countdown clock, or we read it as if it's some type of riddle book that we have to solve. But Revelation wasn't written to scare Christians into hiding or to make us experts in prediction. It was written to strengthen believers who are under pressure, to give courage to people who felt like the empire was winning, and to help the church keep following Jesus when it would have been a lot easier to throw in the towel and quit. And that's why we need to see Revelations chapters 21 through 22 clearly. The vision at the end of the Bible isn't about escape, it's about renewal. So let's slow down. Let me walk you through some of those images that John gave us. He says that there's a new heaven, a new earth, right? That John says he saw a new heaven and a new earth. And in the Greek, that word new, it means new in quality, not just in time. So I want you to think about that for a second. God isn't saying, I'm going to scrap this world, I'm going to throw it away, and I'm going to start over. What he's saying is, I'm restoring, I'm renewing, I am transforming. Creation itself is groaning right now because one day it's going to be liberated. And that means what we do in this world now matters. Caring for people, pursuing justice, it all points to God's renewal. He's not making new things, he's making all things new. Then he says there's this new Jerusalem. John sees a city coming down out of heaven, not just climbing up to God, but God coming down to dwell with us. And that's always been the story from Eden to the tabernacle, to the temple, and to the incarnation. God's desire has always been to be with his people. And in the new Jerusalem, that longing is finally and fully fulfilled. No more distance, no more veil, just the presence of God dwelling with his people, dwelling with us forever. And then we see the image of the river and the tree of life. The river of life flows right through the city. The tree of life, the same one that we lost access to in Genesis, is now available again, bearing fruit for every season. And the leaves of the tree, well, they're for the healing of the nations. I mean, can you imagine that? That all the division, all of the conflict, all the war and hate that tear this world apart, we are going to be healed. And then he says the end of tears and pain and death. And then one of the most beautiful promises in all of Scripture says that he's going to wipe away every tear from their eyes. Death will be no more. Grief, crying, and pain will be no more because the previous things have passed away. Listen, that's not wishful thinking, everybody. That's where history is headed. That's God's final word over creation. But here's the point. John didn't give this vision so that the church could sit back and just wait. He gave it so that we could stand strong in the present. Revelation is not a license for us to check out. It's a call to be alive, to live alive, to be awakened, to be faithful until the end. So if Jesus is making all things new, his people should live like new creations now, right? We push back against darkness instead of hiding from it. We forgive when bitterness feels a lot easier. We serve when selflessness feels more natural. We worship when the world pressures us to compromise, and we'll embody a hope when fear is around us. That's the discipleship message of Revelation. It's about endurance and worship and hope. Here's something that encourages me. The Bible begins in Genesis with a garden, and it ends in Revelation with a garden city. The story of Scripture is not God abandoning creation, but God redeeming it and completing creation. And that means our faith, it's not just about going to heaven someday. It's about living as citizens of heaven right here, right now, anticipating the day when heaven and earth are united once and for all. So here's my encouragement. Don't stop here. Just because the series is over, it doesn't mean your study of Revelation should end. This book is way too rich and too beautiful and is way too Christ-centered for us just to slide it back onto the shelf. One of the most helpful resources that I leaned on throughout this series was this book by Darrell Johnson called Discipleship on the Edge. It's a journey through the book of Revelation. And if you want to keep exploring, I would highly suggest you use this as a guide. It'll keep you anchored in Jesus. It'll help you with opening up what the symbols mean. And so I highly recommend this. I'll put it in the description below. But it's a book that doesn't just teach Revelation. It shows how Revelation calls us to live as disciples right now. And let me close with this. Revelation does not end with fear. Aren't you glad? We don't read this book with fear anymore. It doesn't end with an Antichrist being in charge. It doesn't end with destruction. It ends with Jesus on his throne saying, I am making all things new. So may the vision, may that shape how you live today. May you carry that hope into your home and into your school and into your workplace and even into your neighborhoods. May you live as someone who belongs to the Lamb, who has been made new and who looks forward with confidence to the day when everything is made new. Until the King returns, may we stay faithful because we know how the story is going to end.